Hello everyone, Anita here and welcome to another art chat. Now this week we're going to talk about inspiration and creativity because I've been getting a lot of questions recently about literally how I stay inspired and what inspires me. I suppose you can kind of combine all those questions into those two main ones. So I've decided, that's a perfect topic for an art chat and that's what we're going to talk about. And the first, and I think the most important point or part or topic or whatever you call it, is that creativity and inspiration works differently for everyone. And it's very important to know that whatever works for me might not work for you. And it's really important to adjust anything you hear towards yourself. However, personally, I find it very interesting to watch and listen to other people talking about what inspires them or how they deal with creativity and staying creative. Over the years when I was working on my own creative routine, I don't really know how to call it. So over the years I've been watching a lot of videos like that and just listening, learning, kind of taking from that whatever I felt would suit me personally and adding it to my way of doing things. The second point is my art space. Now you've seen my art space last week in the last video, but I'm not going to be talking about that. It took me a lot of time to realize what I needed to do with my art space so that it worked perfectly for me staying creative. Because over the years, I've been kind of running away from this place. I've been staying in my art room for a few days, for example, and then all of a sudden I didn't like it anymore. I couldn't do anything here anymore. I didn't stay motivated. I couldn't concentrate and focus, and I would move downstairs and sit at the dining table. Now there is nothing wrong with that. If you like to draw at the dining table, and I still sometimes just move downstairs just to change surrounding. But since I work full-time as an illustrator, I need my own space. I feel the need to be able to just go into the room so that I can completely close myself off and work and stay focused just on work for a certain amount of time, which I wouldn't be able to do if I was sitting in the living room with, everything going around me. And I keep adjusting my space every time I clean quite a lot because even though I hate cleaning, I really hate when my art space is dirty. That especially means dust and fur because we have two pets and the fur gets pretty much everywhere. There's nothing worse than fur in your paint. So I actually vacuum quite a lot and dust quite a lot. And every single time I take a look at my art space and try to assess what needs to be changed. When I stream, I sometimes pull things to show on camera, and then instead of putting it away, I would just collect it around my desk. And the reason for that was that all my shelves are rather far away from my desk. So to keep it clean, I needed to kind of bring everything closer. And so I've made a space straight next to my desk where everything I usually use during a stream, just standing there. At the arm's reach, and I can just take it and then put it away immediately. And this is a perfect example from how I adjust my room, because this is your art space. The art space is supposed to work for you and not the other way around. Another very important point is to take care of yourself, and this can mean a lot of things, and it also depends a lot on your way of living. Back in the day when I was still working full-time at another job, the most important thing for me was just relaxing and being happy because that boosted my creativity, and also trying to stay awake in the evening after work. Nowadays, I have a completely different set of things I worry about my health personally, because I sit a lot during the day, and so I put more pressure on getting exercise and taking walks, getting some fresh air. Because these are the things I'm actually missing. Another thing that I really started to pay attention was actually the pain in my wrist. My hand is my main tool that I work with. So actually taking care of that became really important for me. Nowadays it's better, but a few months ago I had a lot of pain in my wrist, and that really worried me, and I've never really thought about it before. It was something that came up just when I started to work full-time as an illustrator. Now, another thing that really is hard for me is the stress that comes from dealing with technical things, I suppose, and stuff like finances, taxes, legal things that really don't have anything to do with creativity, but are nonetheless really important, and they're just something that you have to deal with when you're an adult. And that thing stresses me out, and stress is a killer for me. It's a killer for my creativity, because I become tense, and the best things I create are when I'm actually relaxed. So how I deal with that is that I actually share the responsibility. I never try to do everything myself. I always share, or I talk about it. I talk about things I do a lot, because kind of vocalizing what my problems are really helps me to deal with them. So instead of sitting quietly and panicking about an approaching deadline for something, I'm just going to discuss it or just say it aloud. And all of a sudden, it becomes more real. It doesn't grow so big in my head anymore. And instead of getting hung up on that one problem, I just move on. I just solve it, move on, and get help if I need it. And that really helps me. Might seem like a really weird thing because it doesn't really have anything to do with creativity. But for me personally, it's something that really affects me, affects my creative side, my inspiration. Like I've said, inspiration and creativity are very, very personal things. So you kind of have to think about yourself, what affects you. And now finally, we're going to talk about the inspiration part, the things that inspire me personally. Once again, this is something that will work differently for everybody else. Now, I'm a person who gets inspired the most while going on trips or taking walks. I absolutely love being in the forest. I love seeing new things like castles, gardens, different kind of plants, animals. I really, really love that. That's just something that personally inspires me. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to go to the garden and then draw that garden or paint that garden, just because I'm not a landscape painter. I don't paint realistic things. I paint stuff that appears in my imagination. And so I go to places that are more likely to make something appear in my mind, in my head. It's just something in my imagination. So, for example, when I go to the forest, I've been painting a lot of mushrooms just because there's something about mushrooms that really inspires me. I don't know if it's the color, the shape, the idea that, there might be little people living somewhere in the mushroom cities. There's just something amazingly inspired about it. And that doesn't mean that it will inspire everybody else. This is just something very personal for me. Another thing is that we've been recently to a botanical garden. And I just seeing all these kind of plants and flowers and the smells, just something about it made me extremely happy. And I just really feel inspired to just incorporate more flowers into my paintings. Another thing is that just by going to the castle doesn't mean I'm going to paint a castle, but just being surrounded by the amazing patterns and just the feel of that place. There is just something about it that makes me want to paint more and create more. So there isn't really anything more I can say about what inspires me, just because that's pretty much it. I do whatever makes me happy, and that inspires me. So moving on from that, because that's a really awkward topic. I feel really awkward talking about it. So I've decided to also include talking a little bit about art block and dealing with art block in this section, just because I feel that inspiration and art block go really closely together. It's I deal with art blocks a lot. They're triggered randomly, and the only way I actually fight with them is that I don't do anything. I literally just keep drawing. There is no other way personally for me that works better. You have to keep drawing to go through the art block. It will hurt. It will be painful. Maybe I should talk about what an art block is for me. Art block is when I draw, but I don't love what I draw. It's kind of the feeling that when I feel really inspired and very creative, and the perfect moment for painting is when I feel almost as if the painting is flowing from my head through my arm and onto the paper. Like it's just wants to just almost dripping off of my pencil or my paintbrush. It just wants to be there. Everything goes so smoothly. Everything is perfect. And that's the optimal way. Now, the art block is the moment when I am drawing and have kind of an idea, but it's almost as if I have to squeeze it out. It doesn't want to come out by itself, and everything I draw is wonky, it's blocky, it just doesn't look good, and it takes a lot of hard work to actually put it on paper. And that's what I actually call an art block. Back in the day, I keep saying back in the day, but a few years back, the only way I could think of when I had an art block is to literally just let myself loose, let myself go and just stay away from anything artistic for a while, because I felt that if I can't produce anything nice and, I don't feel like drawing, because I literally don't feel like drawing during an art block, then I shouldn't draw, because, art was my hobby, and you don't pressure yourself to do a hobby, right? It's something you do for fun. So if you don't have fun doing it, it means that you need to take a break. The problem is now that illustration is my work, art is my work. I do it as my business, and I can't really just stop drawing just because I have an art block. So I needed to find a way to kind of work with it. And that's the only way I found is really reduces the time of my art block, because the longest art blocks I have last about a week or two. And then I just go back to normal and start painting again, and usually something extremely beautiful that's kind of like a step up from what I've been drawing before. And that's a really, really nice feeling. And I've learned that it happens every single time for me. So I just keep drawing and I suffer through it, because it literally is suffering when I have to draw, but nothing I produce makes me happy. So another good tip in fighting with an art block is that I will look at my art, recent art, and just kind of try to figure out what bothers me the most about it. And just the recent art block, it was, you probably noticed if you follow me, I stopped using black lines, because I figured the black line art, I should probably be more specific. I stopped using black lines because they started bothering me. They were too black, they were too dark, they were too constricting. I felt like the picture was just not flowing. It was just too, I don't know, it bothered me. I can't even describe why, it just bothered me. And so I've changed it, and all of a sudden I just love everything I draw, and I'm really looking forward to where that takes me, because I feel like I've opened a new chapter to my art story. Now, and last but not least, there are still some things I'm trying to figure out by myself and still working on. And there are 3 of them. They're pretty much all connected. And there's just something I have to deal with. Eventually, I will figure out some ways. The biggest one is procrastination. I tend to procrastinate a lot. Recently, it got a little bit better. That gives me hope that I might fix that in myself, I suppose, because it's something I feel the need to fix. And then the other thing is staying focused and staying motivated. Now, staying focused is very similar to procrastination, so I'm not going to talk about it. It's just basically I need to focus on my work a bit more and try to choose the projects that have more priority over others, instead of kind of procrastinating and doing something else that needs to be done and yet is not necessary, if you know what I mean. But the motivation is a problem, because doing illustration as work, and I have a lot of ideas and projects that I want to work on, but setting up your own business, it's not something that happens overnight, at least not for most of us. I'm pretty sure there, as with everything else, there are some miraculous individuals who, just happened to them overnight. I don't know, but that's not me. So I really have to, there's a lot of work that needs to be done while setting up your business, and it takes time, and it can be taxing, and it can be it sometimes I feel like I'm not going as fast as I would like to. I keep asking myself if there is a point into all that, if I should just maybe go back to regular work, because regular work is so much easier. Working 9 to 5 is really so much easier than setting up your own business. Is not as nice, because that's the one thing that keeps me going, that keeps me still inspired, is the fact that I absolutely love what I'm doing right now, and the idea that I would have to go back to normal regular work is just unbearable. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm actually doing something that has sense, and I'm actually doing something I'm good at. But at the same time, I keep thinking that I don't know if I will succeed. I'm trying my best and I feel like I'm getting somewhere. And of course, a lot of good things are happening. I mean, the YouTube channel is growing very steadily. Our community on Facebook is growing. My Etsy store is doing quite good. But there's potential. Also, the streaming, the community we've kind of creating on the stream is amazing. And that's another thing I really wanted to say, that really helps motivating me. I've kind of relied a lot on my friends and family to motivate me, but recently the community itself motivates me because I feel like there are people who actually are looking forward to the content I'm creating, and that really, really helps a lot. So I'm really glad that I found you guys. I wanted to take this opportunity and thank you because I could never say it enough. But that's pretty much all I could say about inspiration. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment below, because it's you guys who kind of guide me through the whole art chat process. This whole content comes from you guys. I'm just basically answering your questions. So your comments are always appreciated, and I try to answer as many of them as I can. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Please hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video. That helps me a lot. And maybe subscribe if you've enjoyed it but you're not subscribed yet. I create 2 videos a week. And yeah, thank you so very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day and bye!